Welcome to Walking with J.Beau, an almost daily walking vlog. Today is Thursday. We're in December 18th. After today, I'm going to have 1,324, maybe 25 miles on the year walking. It's 43 degrees right now, which feels like summer. Hoping to get 6 miles today, or somewhere thereabouts. I will be doing some selfie at some point. Some selfie view. Some people like that. So I hope you got a chance to check out President Trump's address to the nation last night. I thought it was really good. One of his best speeches he's given in quite some time. It really laid out what the White House is doing. It explained the tariffs. It explained the economic outlook for the country. As well as affordability issues. In other words, the speech was, we see you, we hear you, we understand, we're working on it. And I think that's what people needed to hear. And as far as the direction of the country goes, the Democrats like to paint a very dim picture about everything. But a poll yesterday, which is a valid one, and it was 3 polls. One was Gallup, one was Fox News, and one was a liberal source. People were asked if the country was going in the right direction. Trump has gained 10 points in December on that. So people are seeing the positives that are happening, mainly to do with immigration. Trump using the National Guard in cities was very popular with the public. And you'll notice that the Democrats have really stopped criticizing it. Have you noticed that? Two National Guardsmen were shot. One was killed. They were both killed. And so the Democrats have stopped demonizing the National Guard as Gestapo. And, you know, these people are really unforgivable. They run around calling people dictators, Nazis, Gestapo, and then people believe them, get angry about it, and then they go kill them, or try to. Then everybody's like shocked that somebody did that. I mean, how many white women on a subway need to get set on fire before people realize you're being dangerous and hurting people? So, we're stabbed in the neck, riding a train. Anyways, my friends, Say hello to everybody. I put the sound canceling on today, so if the volume drops unexpectedly here and there, that's because I have it on autopilot. The winds are supposed to pick up today. Not too bad right now, but we are getting a storm tomorrow. Starting tonight, we're going to have very high winds, which is never good. Now, typically we have power loss problems from wind with trees getting blown over, usually because of two factors. The main one is snow on the branches, the weight of the water. Branches will break and take out power lines. The other problem is, like what you're seeing in Washington State right now, where you get so much rain, it saturates the ground, and pine trees root down. If you're lucky, they'll root down a foot. They spread out wide. And you know, you've seen my walks where I've shown you video with trees that have upturned in the woods, and they're like big giant flat discs, not very thick. A big 60-foot tree grew out of that. It's unbelievable. A little bit of sand on the side of a rock. So pine trees are very resilient, and so anyway, thought that was interesting. So I'm not expecting widespread power outages. Wind gusts are going to be around 50. I think this is a half and half of the media trying to get people to watch, keep watching the forecast. A little bit of an exaggeration to it. That's what the media does now with everything. It's really pathetic. But there is a chance power could go out, like with any storm. But I don't think we're going to see widespread outages here. Inland 30 miles, 20 to 30 miles, I don't think so. I think the majority of this is going to be the southwestern portion of Maine and New Hampshire. So, cross my fingers. It's not fun losing power in the wintertime for multiple days, especially when this front's going to go through tomorrow night, and the high temperature Saturday is going to be 28. So, the good news is it's not going to be windy long. We got a wind warning from 8 o'clock tomorrow morning until about 10 or 11 o'clock at night, maybe earlier. So I think we'll make it. Right now I'm starting to sweat already. It's 43 degrees. I'm wearing a long sleeve shirt that is non-thermal, just a regular long sleeve. T-shirt material, I call it. T-shirt on top of that. And a double-sized, loose-fitting jersey type thing on top of that. And then I had the hoodie. So 40 degrees, plenty comfortable. Tomorrow is going to be in the 50s. I really would love to walk tomorrow, but we're going to have high winds with rain, so I probably will not be. Because wind is wind, and when it's raining, well, wind can be pretty messy with rain. That would be asking a lot, even though that 55 degrees tomorrow is going to be very tempting to walk in temperature-wise. I don't think it's going to happen. So, anyway, I just wanted to come on here and say hello. going to turn the camera around so I can watch the traffic. And I wanted to say thank you for being here. Thank you for walking with me. God bless you and your family. And I really hope, if you didn't see it, to go scout out President Trump's speech last night from the official White House on YouTube or Rumble, and the official President Trump channel. Probably a lot of other sources as well. It was a good speech. Let's turn this around. So what was good about the speech last night was he stayed on script. He read from the teleprompter. He addressed the nation. And sometimes when he stumbles over words, he'll stop talking and then he'll veer off somewhere. He almost did that a couple times, but he stayed on message. So the speech was only 18.5 minutes, and I cannot believe all the information they got in there. So that was really good. I think the biggest thing that I was happy to see is the $1,776 going to active duty service members. 1.4 million active service members in the military today. They're all getting $1,776, and those started going out while President Trump was speaking. So those are called warrior dividends, okay? The media did not spend much time talking about those, because why would they? It helps Donald Trump. But the service members know they got it, and we need to talk about it. It's part of the in celebration of our 250th anniversary next year. So $1,776 commemorating when we declared independence, 1776. We didn't win the war against England until the 1780s. 10 or 11 years, it took a while. Of course, back then you had horses and had to transport stuff across the ocean to fight us. So it took a little bit longer. So anyways, the important thing to remember is that he's taking care of our military. The most important thing about this is that the money comes directly from tariff revenue. Okay? This is tariff money that we took in. Trump said we're taking in so much money, we can part with this and give military people a check, which is actually a direct deposit, most of them, because they're already being paid in the military by direct deposit. So anyway, if you do the math, $1.4 million service members getting $1,776 comes out to well over $2 billion. $2 billion they sent out. Is that crazy? So there you have it. $2 billion for our servicemen and women. who deserve it. So enjoy, and thank you for your service. If you're watching this, now this is not for veterans, and I do not know if this is considered income, which you have to pay taxes on or not. I have no idea. But we've got tax cuts kicking in next year, so people are going to benefit from that anyway. I don't have all the answers. They didn't explain it last night, and I haven't been able to find out today. So but hey, it's $1,776. Pretty cool. Servicemen and women, after experiencing the damn Democrat shutdown, deserve that. And Trump didn't mention that, but he should have. So I was checking out CNN, a couple other networks, and they were laughing off what Trump was saying half of what he said is untrue, blah, blah, blah. I really despise these people. But people that got a check deposited in their account know it's real. So today we're going to go down this way. I'm going to do an extra mile, 6 miles today, because it's nice. And I want to get closer to my 1,339 miles on the year. I should be able to do it, unless we get some sort of extreme Arctic blast from now until the end of the month, which could happen. I should be able to make it. So my friends, I'm happy you're here with me. I'm going to walk the route. As you can see, it's a beautiful day. And why wouldn't it be nice to walk today? I really do have to try to swear less. I was watching back that video and it's like, you know, I could have done without that. So my apologies. My apologies. It's very difficult not to swear when talking about Democrats these days, you know? That's all I'm saying. So as we're walking, you can hear stuff melting, dripping off roofs. So there were some things that they didn't stick in the speech last night that have taken in effect, like the tax deduction you can take on interest rates, interest from loans, up to $10,000 annually on loans. Not just auto loans, that can be a loan to fix your front porch on your house. It can be other things too. So take advantage of it, really. That'll be effective until 2028. So if you have some stuff that you need to get a loan for, I think it even counts on student loans and things like that. I think it's just an interest rate thing on loans. Now, I've seen that police car parked over here before, and he just pulled out of the garage here, so out of the yard, so I'm assuming he lives here. There's another police officer that lives on the next street over. We'll be walking by that shortly. You can see how beautiful it is today. Stunningly beautiful today. Alright, now we're going to go that way. Make sure there's no cars coming. Don't want to get hit by no cars. If you're in Maine in New England, they're not cars, they're cars. Don't get hit by the car. Well, tonight's trash night for me, and for 3 weeks in a row I have not been able to put my trash out because of windy conditions. It has now become a weekly event, and we're going to have high winds again tonight into tomorrow, so my trash is getting stockpiled. It's all going to go out in 1 week, one of these weeks. Unavoidable. We will have a trash day without wind at some point. Every time I try to put trash out when it's windy, it ends up all over the place. If I put a trash can out there to put the trash in and weight it down, then the empty trash can, after they pick it up, blows around in the road. I've had a couple trash cans run over, one ruined. Had tire tracks on it. Truthfully, it did. So we'll put it out when it's not windy. Can't put it out on a night where there's a snowstorm either, because one year the youngster who cleans the sidewalks with the machine and the auger actually chewed up the trash and threw what was in it all over the place. So alrighty, we're marching along, getting to where we're going. So like I said in yesterday's walk, I'll turn the camera around, we have too many conspiracy theorists on the right now. They're fun to listen to when we're trying to beat Democrats. And then after we meet that objective, now they're looking for stuff to be controversial with. And unfortunately, they're going after other Republicans, which is very bad. Don't do that. It's pissing me off, actually. It's creating disunity. The enemy's out there, okay? Democrats. We should be fighting with them, not with each other. So, the reason why I bring that up is almost all of the internet was Trump is addressing the nation because he's going to declare war on Venezuela. No, it's not what happened. I told you guys before that even happened. What did I say yesterday? It's going to be about the economy. And I said conspiracy theorists online are talking about stupid, ridiculous, foolish nonsense like that. Tucker Carlson was talking about that. Trump's going to declare war on Venezuela. Well, when are you people going to realize these people are just there to sell mugs and t-shirts? They're trying to create something. Trump coming on talking about the economy is not as exciting as blowing the hell out of Maduro, is it? So they don't talk about it. They talk about Maduro and Venezuela. That's all I saw on YouTube. Live streams. Trump's address. War on Venezuela on their thumbnails. Guys, stop being stupid. I don't mean necessarily you people watching. I'm talking about the big accounts who are fomenting this stuff. Foolishness. Yes, I realize, okay? It's going to get you clicks. And you're going to make a little bit of money on YouTube. Well, to be honest with you, that makes you a whore, doesn't it? So, stop doing that. Please. America first, not your bank account first. Does it have to be said? Really? So, we march on. We have Christmas coming up. The economy, from the stats I saw, people should be getting more take-home money from their jobs. Ooh, and watch out for this. It's wet and slippery. Income has gone up under Trump. Those numbers are there. You can look it up. Construction workers and other industries where people do more physical labor are being paid more. I can't speak specifically if you're in management or some kind of supervisory role, but I know that the average laborer, for example, is now being paid more money. So what's killing people is the cost of insurance, things like that. Which leads me to my next segment. Speaker Mike Johnson has really nothing to work with. He only has a few people advantage in the House. He has to get more people on page. And if they would have just lost 4 people, then the bill that passed last night would not have passed. So he's doing a great job. You can complain about him all you want to. McCarthy was not able to do that when he was the House Speaker. And I didn't particularly care for McCarthy. And when you have over 200 people and you only have a margin of 4, maybe 5 people you can afford to lose on something or it doesn't pass, very difficult, because you get people that come from blue districts that ran as a moderate Republican. They don't come right out and support Trump because that would be a death knell for them where they are. So you have to respect that, right? And it's irritating, it's annoying. Now Jared Golden here, the Democrat, the Golden Boy, the Goldenrod, he's not going to be reelected because he's resigning. He doesn't like the direction the Democrats have gone with this far left extremism. He's been complaining about the Democratic Party constantly criticizing every little thing Trump does. And you have to remember, he's in a red district. Trump won this district by 19 points, okay? That's a lot. And I told you guys Trump was going to win this district for a third time. First time since Ronald Reagan. And he did. George W. Bush could not do that here. Romney didn't do that here. So Trump is very well liked. So Jared Golden got sick of trying to defend everything the Democrats are doing and try to explain it. He's not able to. There's no explaining Marxism. People know what it is. Communism, socialism, whatever you want to label it. I really could care less. It's not true Marxism, but part of their agenda is transferring wealth from the rich to the poor. And capitalism is the enemy. That's Marxism. So, you know, I don't know how they can say they're not Marxist. So anyways, I'm gonna cut across the street here. And we got a police officer that lives directly across the street in that house that I was talking about. So we'll cut across here. And so anyway, I don't know how you can not call it Marxism when that's what Marxism is. Combined with socialism and communism, you get elements of all three combined into one, and that's the Democratic Party today. And they are as dangerous as that sounds. And please don't underestimate them. Don't say, well, this is just something Democrats are going through. No, it isn't. They have had a cultural revolution in their party, and it's there to stay. It can either grow or it can wither and die. They're not going to change and come to their senses. They take money from socialists. Socialists demand it, and they'll do it. And that's why Jared Golden has dropped out, said he's not running. And that's a tough blow to Democrats because he's won that seat 3 times. First time because of ranked choice voting. Second time he won it just barely. And the last time he ran, he just barely won it. But in fairness, he did have the popular vote before they did ranked choice voting. And then they did ranked choice voting and he maintained his lead. And it grew a little bit, but not enough for me to go, oh my God, they stole it. No, we don't have enough good Republicans right now. Until Paul LePage, 2-time governor in Maine, very, extremely well liked in this district, announced he was running for this congressional seat. And I can tell you with full confidence, he should be able to win this seat very easily. And I think Jared Golden knew that, and he resigned. Because he's going to have to come up with money. Now, last year, he ran short on money. And I don't know if you know it or not, but people that are in Congress, they have to raise at least $1 million a year for their party. Either small dollar or big dollar. And Maine is a small hole-in-the-wall district here. The Democratic Party is not gonna foot the bill for that. And I don't think they expected Jared Golden to drop out, but he did. And as far as I know right now, they still don't have a solid replacement for him to run as a Democrat against Paul LePage. Paul LePage is very pro-Trump, pro-MAGA, and he's anti-immigration. He's pro-tax cuts. He's pro-America first. Now, I had told you guys that a MAGA person is not going to win here for Senate. That's true. If Paul LePage ran for Senate, he probably would not win. You have to have a moderate, independent type like Susan Collins. And we don't have any big names in Maine to fit that. We have people that would probably do a good job, but I'm talking about big names people know. Distinct difference there. Everybody knows Paul LePage. You mention Paul LePage to Democrats and, oh, that son of a bitch, you know, they know who he is. So that's why you see Pritzker, Newsom, and Kamala Harris now. Kamala Harris said she wants to run again. Swear to God, that's what she said. She wants to run again. Well, we already know it's going to be Pritzker, Newsom, or Kamala Harris. There's nobody else in the Democratic Party that's a name that's going to go anywhere. I think everybody knows that. Poly market right now, J.D. Vance against Gavin Newsom, or anyone else for that matter, is up by 20 points, 20% more chance to win the presidency if they ran against each other for president. So J.D. Vance is very popular because he speaks well, he's intelligent, and he speaks with common sense that anybody can understand when he's speaking. The left might not like what he's saying, but they can't argue with him about it. That's the important difference. Trump says a lot of good things, but he likes to argue with people. And that works for Trump. I like that about him. But how many times have we seen Trump talking about a topic and then he veers off it and starts talking about something else because he's getting all excited and these people do this and that, and he's talking about something different than what was asked, which is fine. That works for Trump. J.D. Vance stays on the topic that's asked him, and he outsmarts the room with facts. They have not been able to come up with an answer for that. So J.D. Vance's weapon is going to be his intelligence, which is damn refreshing. And he speaks well, bluntly and to the truth, but without rudeness. Like when he spoke in front of the European Council in Germany and told them to their faces that they are authoritarians, oppressing their people, and not allowing free speech, and that's not something the United States can support. Wow. What a big ruckus that caused. He didn't call anybody names. He didn't raise his voice. He told the truth. And the beautiful part of it is, after he said what he said, the left could not counter what he said, because what he spoke was something they are actually doing. It was true. That's the difference. That's why J.D. Vance is going to be the candidate for Republicans, and they're going to try to find some kind of scandal on him. They're going to try to manufacture something, and he's good with handling that as well. So in a lot of respects, J.D. Vance has a lot more potential and capability than Donald Trump does. And he's young, and he's moderately wealthy. But here's the kicker. He started out in a household on food stamps in a broken home. They didn't have any money. His mother was a drug addict. His dad was gone, wasn't around. And now he's vice president. That plays well with working class people who understand that, because people have dealt with drug addiction, alcoholism, tough times, being poor. That's why J.D. Vance is going to be very dangerous to Democrats, because They don't have anybody like that that can run. They are all affluent, elitist, and that's where J.D. Vance fares better than Donald Trump. And I know Donald Trump, he's rich. He's the blue-collar billionaire. I get it. But at the same time, he's another rich person. So that was one of the reasons why a lot of independents didn't like Donald Trump. It's another rich guy spewing all this nonsense. Well, they're not going to be able to say that about J.D. Vance. So the only thing that can hurt J.D. Vance is if Trump's policies go south and the country doesn't do well. And I don't see that happening. I really don't. So anyway, I want to get back to the Republicans passing how they're going to handle the ACA. They passed a health care bill in the House, which did not include tax subsidies for premiums. So that means the tax subsidy premiums that Democrats imposed during COVID, those were emergency measures that were temporary, okay? That's the key thing. So the Republicans are going to have to make sure that message gets out, that those were temporary. To begin with, the Democrats set them to sunset at the end of December 2025. It was a temporary measure during COVID to pay for people's health insurance. So 7% of the population uses Affordable Care Act. It sounds like a small number. Mike Johnson's been saying, oh, it's only 7%. But it's 24 million people, okay? That's 24 million voters who are going to hate your guts if they can't get health insurance. And they were at least able to afford it before, even if it was too expensive. Now they won't be able to afford it at all for their family. So the Republicans, it would not pass in the House if they kept the subsidies in it, because of the small margin I was telling you about of a majority in the House. The only way that was going to pass is to get rid of the subsidies, which in my opinion need to be gotten rid of anyway. We need to face the fact that the Affordable Care Act is not affordable, and tax subsidies in the billions of dollars are just enriching insurance companies, the 1%, which the Democrats are supposed to hate, but obviously they don't, because they're trying to keep the subsidies, making the insurance companies rich. I have no idea how Democrat voters can't see how phony and full of crap Democrats are. But I'm going to turn the camera around. But that's what we got, man. Hi. So that's what we got, man. So at the end of December, in a couple of weeks, those subsidies are going away. Now the Republicans are going to have to replace it with something. The Senate's going to have to work on that. And Democrats are going to refuse to go along with it. You know why? Because the Democrats want to have a topic for all of next year to campaign for midterms with. The Republicans took your affordable insurance away. That's why they don't want anything solved. Democrats don't want this problem solved, and that's the first thing you need to acknowledge. If you're thinking, well, maybe they'll do a bipartisan thing and fix this by the end of December, nope, they're not going to. This is going to stall in the Senate, and whatever gets passed in the Senate is not going to have the subsidies. And the Democrats are going to claim victory on it. then the Democrats are going to shut the government down at the end of January. Again. So, you can either think I'm full of crap and don't know what I'm talking about. Could very well be the case. Or you can see that I use a lot of common sense and logic. Most of the time I'm right, not always right. But if you use common sense with things, you'll come up correct most of the time. Because truth is truth. So, that's why I knew Trump's speech last night was about the economy. That's been one of the things. Affordability hurting Trump in the polls. Even though the economy is doing good and it's getting better, American people aren't feeling it yet because of insurance, things like that. So he wanted to remind people that those things are being worked on. So that was a good speech to give last night. And also it may help to unify the base and quell some of the stupid conspiracy theory stuff, because everybody was convinced he was going to announce bombing the shit out of Venezuela, regime change, all that. No, he didn't do that at all. Didn't even talk about it. So President Trump's the real deal. He's absolutely the best president I have ever seen in my lifetime. And it's really a shame. So many Americans have to be on the side of hating him just because he's this or that. The Epstein stuff is garbage. It's going nowhere. It's not going to go anywhere. There's nothing to that. I put it out of my head. I'm really sorry. What happened to the victims has happened to the victims. But chasing after Trump is not going to solve your problems. It's not going to bring the offenders to justice. And it's a common talking point I see. President Trump could have released all of these files from day one. No, they released what was able to legally be released. That was testified under oath by Kash Patel and Pam Bondi. There was nothing else to release. Everything else was under lock and key with a judge. DOJ tried to get these files released. The judges wouldn't do it. It's grand jury testimony, and it's like a sacred cow. They rarely, if ever, release those unless it has to do with something major, national security, something like that. Not to say that what happened to the victims wasn't major, it was. So the Democrats, sensing that the 20% in MAGA I was telling you about, that like everything to be a conspiracy theory, kept the Epstein files alive and gave Democrats free ammunition. That's what you guys did. You guys gave Democrats ammunition against Trump, and I hate you for it. Plain and simple. There's no excuse for that. When you're in war, if you're aiding the enemy, and we are in a war for our republic. We're not in a physical war, we're not in a violent war, but we are in a cultural war. The winner of which will dictate how this country is for the next couple hundred years of war. So, we're still a young country. There's still time to take this beautiful democratic republic and screw it up. We're not even 250 years old. We're not even as old as a corner addition on a structure in Rome, okay? In addition, not the main building built 1,000 years ago, but in addition, a repair done 250 years ago is older than our country. So, don't think we're too big to fail, because we are failing. We're getting financially crippled by ridiculous, idiotic bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. Remember, drain the swamp? President Trump has stuck to everything he said he was going to do since 2015. Drain the swamp, build a wall, end migration, and unvetted migration. Trump has never said that we don't want people to come here at all. He has never said that. He said we want people to come here legally with something to offer and to be vetted so we know they're safe. And not to take in too many that our economy cannot absorb all at one time. So there's nothing that he has said that he's not doing. So I don't understand why MAGA is saying, well, that 20% of MAGA, I should say, that Trump is not putting America first anymore. So I'm going to turn the camera around again. So I just want to remind people that things are okay. We're getting what we voted for. Picture what things would be going on right now if Kamala had won. Just think about that for a minute. And I won't have to do any talking to convince you on how fortunate we are right now. The border would still be open. She didn't say she was going to take care of the border until it became a big issue for them politically. Democrats don't do anything until it costs them politically. And then when they do, they shuffle their feet and they bullshit. And they try to keep it the way it is as much as possible, saying they're doing something and they don't. President Trump did something. The border is closed. First time in our history. We've had virtually zero people enter the country illegally. Virtually zero. It's like 96%, 97% has been stopped. So we're not seeing film clips anymore of 30, 40, 50 people crashing through barbed wire. They're not coming. You know why? Because they know the Teton has gone dry. So anyways, my friends, I'm going to stop at the outhouse up here. A lot of this snow will still be here after tomorrow, even though it'll be in the 50s and raining, but a lot of it will be gone. I don't think it's going to wash out all of it. So, good conversation today. That was a great speech President Trump gave last night. Really enjoyed that. So the other thing I'm going to talk about is JFK, RFK, I mean, RFK Jr. Just instituted a policy through the HHS, Human Health Services, that is going to end affirmative care for minors. This stops puberty blockers, estrogen and testosterone and things like that from minors, underage people. We're never going to be able to ban it for adults, and we shouldn't. We shouldn't. I just want people to make their choices as adults. Children cannot make these choices. Not one single child that transitioned did so with their own permission. Even if they wanted it. Even if they wanted it. They weren't able to. So I'll talk about more when I get out. I gotta use the restroom. Hopefully this won't have to stand in line. All right, I've got a city truck here. I guess this is the guy they sent to clean the toilets or something. I didn't make a mess. It wasn't me. So anyway, RFK Jr. signed that today, an executive order from the HHS as HHS Secretary, banning surgical procedures as well. So now 13-year-old girls will not be having their breasts cut off because somebody talked them into that being the best thing for them to make them happy. And that's what I voted for, my friends. I voted for that. Someday history is going to look back and they're going to see how barbaric it was to remove the breast off 13-year-old girls, or giving children puberty blockers so they don't experience puberty, which means they grow up, they're not sexually developed, so they will never know enjoyment from sex. They've been rendered infertile, they can't have children. And I don't understand why the average person would not consider that something criminal. Not to mention how important hormones are for bone structure, bone density, and other problems people don't know yet. Like, does it lead to causing cancer in adults later in life? Or other problems, heart disease? Studies have not been done for that because the drug was not intended for that. They call them puberty blockers, but they are really, they're made to block hormone production. Why is that important? Well, I know some guy online who's battling prostate cancer, and they're going to give him something similar to that to halt his hormone production, which is going to cause him to cry more during movies, things like that. And they want to reduce his testosterone because cancer cells feed off that. So it's one of those things. So they use a puberty blocker basically to treat prostate cancer. The intended purpose of puberty blockers for children is some children start to develop too quickly, their hormones and stuff, before their body has reached puberty. That can cause problems and damage physically and emotionally as well. So they administer puberty blockers to children to slow down their hormone development temporarily. They don't prevent puberty. That's the difference, and that is a propaganda junk science that the industry has been using to sell at people. We got people waving to the cameras across the street. So anyway, we have, it's supposed to be a temporary puberty blocker use just to slow down the hormonal system until the body starts catching up. Then after the body starts catching up, then they stop blocking the hormones, so your body takes over naturally, and then everything gets in sync again. So the HHS executive order does not stop treatment for people where it's medically necessary to do it. So I just want to be clear on that fact. But it does have to be halted for the use that they have been using it for. And making affirmative care illegal for minors is a very big step. And I also believe that tax dollars should not be used to pay for affirmative care for adults either. People can get their own insurance, and they can do that if they want to. But most taxpayers don't want to foot the bill for that. And it's not a necessary medical procedure. They try to sell it as that. Well, if they don't do this, they're going to commit suicide. Well, there's a high suicide rate among people that have transitioned because it doesn't solve their problem of why they were suicidal to begin with. And that's really the issue. These people need to get the proper care that will actually help them. Psychiatric care. So the other thing I want to talk about for a moment, I keep coming back to this. Nobody's ever going to do any studies on it, but you've heard me talk about it ad nauseum on my walks. Ad nauseum. Psych medications, drugs. Big Pharma is making billions of dollars on psych medications. Depression, antidepressant, attention deficit disorder, this disorder, that disorder. Now they even have drugs for eating disorders, which is another psychiatric disorder, Ozempic. So many of these mass shooters were on psych medications. That's a fact. It cannot be disputed. Now, I'm not saying that psych medications are causing them to do that, because I don't know that. I suspect it. I would like to see some studies done on that, which there aren't any. But I think it's an amazing coincidence that you have people that commit very heinous, violent crimes. I'll get to Rob Reiner in a minute with his son Nick. And we find out they're on psych medications, which Nick was, Rob Reiner's son, for depression and other types of issues. So you get a lot of these people that get put on these psych medications, and the warning labels on the medications even warn you that if you experience episodes of depression or feelings of violence, to consult your doctor, because that is a known side effect of the medication. So I don't even know why people are denying it. It's right there on the warning labels on most of those. It's overprescribed, and I've been seeing video clips of Rob Reiner's son Nick openly saying, "I get set off very easy. You don't want to set me off. You'll be sorry if you set me off." He'll say that in interviews because it's true. And the family member sitting there is nodding, like, yeah, this guy has issues. You set him off, he goes into uncontrollable fits. I used to know a guy like that a long time ago. I won't tell you his name. I'll just call him Mr. D. And he had mental issues, and he'd get triggered by something would make him mad, and he would go into a rage. He could not control his anger. I mean, he would end up red-faced, frothing at the mouth, screaming unintelligibly, and he ended up being killed by accident. Actually, he was in a cabin on a lake, and a stray bullet from a hunter went through the wall, hit him in the chest, and he died. And nobody knows where the bullet came from. So he was just dead. But anyway, just trying to say those people are out there, and he probably would be on psych medications today. They really started prescribing those a lot in the 80s. Then they upticked it in the 90s, and in the 2000s, you just go complain to the doctor, I can't sleep at night, I have anxiety, and they give you a psych medication. And they shouldn't be doing that. But that's what they're doing. So I think a lot of these violent acts result from that. That's also why you see a disproportionate number of trans people committing violence. And it's not because trans people are violent, it's just some of them have mental issues and they're on psych medications. And I'd really like to see that solved. So we got Rob Reiner's son, who had mental issues and was on psych meds. I mean, look what he did. He killed his mother and father. I still don't know if she was his stepmother or mother. But I did see a picture of him when he was young, and that same woman was in the photo. So I'm assuming that's his mother. So how do you kill your parents? What was so horrible? That goes beyond, you know. So I think a lot of these psych medications play a role in that. That's not to say that without the medications there wouldn't be anything wrong with them. I'm just saying, you know, I think it exacerbates and doesn't help. It has the potential to do more harm than good. Let's put it that way. So I just want somebody to look into it, that's all. Can we do that without it meaning anything? You say something like that on YouTube, they flag your video for giving false medical advice. Well, I'm not giving advice. I'm not saying there isn't a valid use for it. I'm just saying it's overprescribed. No studies are done for it. I just want to see some studies done. You know, I saw one case recently. I think it was in Ohio. This friggin' guy was on psych medications. You know, he ended up killing his mother. He raped her before and after he killed her, and claimed that she was sexually molesting him for years, which there's no proof of that. It might just be something psychotic with him, or it might be true. But the point is, he was on psych medications and he went a little too far. So there's a lot of deep, dark, bad things that happen out there. And I don't think these psych medications are providing all the help these people need. They need more than medications. They need psychiatric care, which is way better than medications. So things need to get fixed. We'll see if they do. Things that make me angry. In Sweden, there's a guy that is a foreigner who came to Sweden years ago, they said. He speaks fluent Swedish, and he's been working in a healthcare facility for old people. Well, he was arrested and charged with raping a 98-year-old woman who was in her bed. She was screaming for help. Nobody helped her. And he said that he looked at a chart And the chart said that she had to be lubricated down there. That's what he told her. So there's been a call to have this guy deported. I guess he's not a legal citizen, but he's been there for a long time. So they're trying to find some empathy for him, not to deport him and charge him for the crime and put him in jail. It's like, how about just not letting these people in unvetted to begin with? How about that? And I'm very sorry for the graphic discussion that I put down sometimes, but this is an 18 and over vlog. And I just talk about things that I talk about. We want migrants to come here legally, vetted and safe. We're not racist, we're not bigots. We just want safety. Why is that an issue? Because the left likes to call everybody a racist. Because they're easily led, obviously. When somebody can't figure out on their own that we want safe people here and we want the bad ones out, that's not being racist. That is common sense. That's why Trump was elected. Sorry you don't like it. That's how it is. Democrats are falsely going to try to turn into moderates all of a sudden. They're going to try to sell that to the public. It's not going to work. So we're going to go down this way today instead of the short way. Well, it's actually the longer way, but it might come out about the same. So, good conversation today anyway. Conversations. So I'm very happy RFK Jr. did that today with the HHS. He also stated that they used the Cass report, Dr. Cass, who did a study, so that this decision is based on science and not junk science. The Cass report is what the NHS in the UK used to stop usage of puberty blockers as well, and affirmative care for minors, because there's no real benefit from it. And you still have people citing the high suicide rates among young people if they don't do that. And that's false. It's false. It's just a false lie. It's propaganda. People saying it probably believe it because that's what they were told from sources that they trust. But they were lied to. The Cass review is a peer study that was done. Thousands of people. It's accurate. There's no benefit, and it does not prevent suicides. If anything, suicides increase. And we don't want young people committing suicide. Don't want anybody doing that. So I am for saving the children. That's not the wrong side of history to be on. I don't care what they say. I'll die on that hill, mister. Or ma'am. So my friends, you can see it's coming up on rush hour. All this traffic. We'll walk by it today. Usually I try to avoid it. Here's that big giant 5th Avenue. Hasn't been sold yet. No price on it. That's that one with that big giant V8 engine that only gets 130 to 170 horsepower. That's it. Probably a heavy car, rides smooth. That's that roof that Scott J.Beau painted. The same Scott J.Beau you see at Trump rallies. He painted one in every state when George Bush was president. To promote patriotism. Over here doing their laundry. So we'll head up this way, finish up this walk. Traverse a mud puddle here. This stuff is melted. There we go. Wind is picking up. So if you hear a weird robotic noise, it's the wind cancellation kicking on. Well, they're going to have a difficult time with these decorations. Look, they're all laying down. We're going to have 50-mile-an-hour gusts. These are not going to fare well. That's all I'm saying. So I'm going to move this one off to the side. So that's the thing with all these decorations, they're susceptible to getting blown around in the wind. And we are going to have some wind tonight and all day tomorrow. So that's It's going to be very difficult for the Christmas decorations. Say a prayer for the decor. So we got a nice, beautiful, sunny day today, and it's gonna go away later tonight. Somebody yelling at the camera driving by. Don't know what he was yelling. People think I'm live streaming. I don't think anybody wants to watch a walking live stream 1.5 to 2 hours. I don't want to have to be careful about what I say or don't say. At least with this, if I say something that might be objectionable to YouTube, I can delete it after. And this is an exercise vlog. It's not a political vlog. It may sound like it at times, but thanks. You could tell that guy was in a hurry, so I wanted to make sure he saw me. Sometimes you can tell when people are anxious to find a hole in the traffic. You just know they're not going to look for you. Box Market. They just painted the outside of it, fixed their sign. Looks nice. Quality meat since 1930. They added that in gold letters. 1930, local butcher and grocery. Which I'd say is pretty good, because look what's just up the street here, a major supermarket. So that's the importance of having a business that's been established for coming up on, geez, 5 years from now, since it says 1930, 5 years from now it'll be a 100-year anniversary for Box Market. They will make it. They survived the COVID. In fact, a smaller store like that made out a lot better during the pandemic. But I got to tell you, this store had protocols where they would take 2 or 3 at a time into the store, and you had to wait in line outside. That's how crazy and stupid it was. You'd have to wait for those 3 people to come out. In the wintertime, it was cold. I mean, that pandemic junk went on for way too long in Maine. And it was political. It was political. When that first started out, it was smart to sit back, play it safe, especially for vulnerable people. And then the Democrats just went political with it. And there were generally some people, health-wise, that were susceptible to that, understood. But the majority was not, and the majority of people should not have had to go through all of that for as long as we did. It should have been over in a couple of weeks for most people. We should have opened everything back up. And they should have come up with some kind of protocols for people susceptible to that. And even today, somebody with OCPD, some kind of pulmonary disorder, or lung problems, a regular flu can kill you. So, you know, we don't close everything down when there's a flu. I mean, COVID was a bad flu, and people were chastised for saying that. But it was. I had it twice. First time wasn't much of anything. Second time was worse. I was sick for about 4 days. But it cleared up, and, you know, there's herd immunity. People are safe now, for the most part. People can still get that and have problems if your health isn't good. So, if you're one of those people that got the flippity gibbet, if you watch this walk, you know what the flippity gibbet is. There's a needle on the long end of a tube. If you got one of those, that's your business, that's your choice. Things like that should not be forced on people, or they lose their careers. And that's what Janet Mills in Maine did here. And we still have a healthcare shortage because of it. The healthcare workers left Maine and they moved to New Hampshire. 60, 80 miles away. Even closer if you live in the Cumberland County area. It's 40, 50 miles. It's not a long drive. So, they also have constitutional carry in New Hampshire. And they're actually less progressive than Maine is. Probably a better state to live in than Maine. Just as beautiful. That I can tell you. So we lost a lot of healthcare workers for nothing. They even wanted to force the kitchen help. People that volunteer to drive old people to doctor's appointments. And they ended up just saying, well, I ain't doing that. I'm just going to go, I'll get a job at Walmart. They're not doing that. So, they tried to, but it didn't work for them. It's not a good business model. There are other places that don't do that. So if you're doing that, people don't want to do it. They'll just go work somewhere else, and then you don't have people to hire. And that's exactly what happened. I don't know why some schmuck walking in Maine with a camera knows that. And these supposed experts and your average politician doesn't know it. I'm sure they do know it. They choose not to go by it because they needed a pandemic to blame on Donald Trump. I'm absolutely convinced that's why. I'm absolutely convinced that's why all these blue states I'm absolutely convinced that's why all these blue states went along with the COVID insanity pandemic protocols and mandates. To blame Donald Trump. Your life is miserable because of him. Because they tied it all together. They tried to say for a long time President Trump was responsible for 1 million people dying in this country, which is false. Everybody knows that's false. So they just keep moving on to every one thing that's going to hurt Donald Trump, which they hope. And every weekend it's a different thing. But the majority of the American public usually figures things out. You still get that 25% minority that are as dumb as a bag of empty cans. I don't think you're ever going to reach these people. Sad but true. Hope you're having a beautiful day today. And again, I don't know if I'm going to be walking tomorrow. That's up to how much wind we have or not. I'll have to play it by ear. You know, if we get like 10, 15 mile an hour winds, but it's 55, 58 degrees, I'll walk in that. But 50 mile an hour gust and it's raining a lot, no, I'm not going to walk in heavy rain. And from what I understand, we're not going to get like torrential rain. There'll be a couple spurts where it will rain pretty good, but we're not going to have a big super soaker. I think we're supposed to get a 1/2 inch to 3/4. Won't be enough to cause any flooding problems here. Problem is going to be wind. You've heard me say that on my walks many times. These winter storms, it'll warm up, we'll get rain. It's only a problem when we get wind. And we usually get a couple of those every winter. So this is our first one. A couple of years ago, we had one just before Christmas. I lost power for 5 days, or we lost power, I should say. But I was home alone, so I lost the power. Somebody else was not without power. So anyway, ran a generator and also some ceramic heaters that run on propane. So hopefully we won't have to do that again. I never remember the fuel mixture for the generator, so I actually wrote it on the generator with a marker, if I remember correctly. So, we'll see what happens. So my friends, we'll be winding down this walk up ahead, around the corner. It's been another interesting, nice walk, I think. People are getting a break on heating oil usage. Set your thermostats lower, doesn't turn on as much. cross this way. Try not to bother anybody. I want to cross. Thanks. Thank you. See what I did there? I could stand there all day trying to cross, or I could just go ahead and cross and people stop. Got to yield for pedestrians. Pedestrians have the right of way in Maine. I have the power to stop traffic. Yep. All right. We'll finish up the rest of the walk up here. Shadows are getting long early. Have we hit the first day of winter yet? Isn't it like December 20th, 21st, something like that? The winter solstice, shortest day of the year. It's going to be coming soon because it's around 3 o'clock right now and the sun looks like it's going down. Yes, that's right, my friends. Around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And it's getting dark. Welcome to the Northern Hemisphere. And then after Christmas, every day it starts getting lighter, a little bit longer. A little bit longer. There's some snow that's been plowed in a straight line, like a row of mashed potatoes. So I'll turn the camera around when we get past the truck here. It's starting to cool off too. I'm starting to feel chilly because my sweat is getting cold. I'm not wearing my winter hoodie. All right, turn the camera around. Hello, my friends. Time to wind down another walk. I want to say thank you for walking with me today. Click like and subscribe, share the content. God bless you. Say a prayer for Trump and the country. Hi. How's it going? Pretty good. So we're going to wind down this walk. Thank you for walking with me today. And anyway, like I said, the weather tomorrow is going to be a little dicey. I don't know if I'll be walking tomorrow. But if I am, I am. If I'm not, I'm not. So anyway, in either case, say a prayer for Trump and the country. And if you haven't seen Trump's address last night, take the time to watch it and share it online, okay? Really important. So, see you guys later. The vet's going to enjoy your warrior dividend checks, $1,776. Active duty service members and women, servicemen and women. And we'll see you on the next walk. See you later, my friends. Ciao.